So I was working almost 20 to 22 hours a day, to be very frank. I was
Oh,
just surviving on power naps through the day. So on that same day, Rahman sir comes on call by somewhere around 10 p.m. that night.
hmm.
And then he says, okay, we are assigned to do this studio. Are you guys up for it? And he sketches up on the screen how it should be and the entire layout and everything. So after the meeting got over, he's like, okay, tomorrow by 3 p.m., send me all this information. And when people of that stature call you and then tell you, okay, you need to do this, if you deliver, you have, achieved it.
Offspin Media Friends proudly presents A Day in Your Life by Anant Krishnan, an Offspin original.
Hi, my name is Anant, and welcome to this podcast where this is all about you, a day in your life. In the 7th episode of this series, I speak with Rolins Roy, the founder of Rolins Acoustics. Rolins is a senior architect and a studio acoustician who's built some of the best studios in India, a very notable studio in Dubai, and also done installations at sites all around the world. Let's hear what he's got to say about a day in his life. Hi, Rollins.
Hi, Anand. Nice catching up.
Yes. Could you tell me a little about yourself, where you were born and raised?
Okay. I was born and raised in Navi Mumbai, and pretty much the best part of the 90s that I was brought up in. And I did my schooling at Father Agnel, which is at Vashi, and then later on did architecture from the University of Mumbai itself. And then after a bit of experience in the architectural realm of work, I then further went on to, specialize into the field of acoustic engineering and construction. And I was in the UK for a while. Then I came back and started from scratch in, the city of Mumbai. So I set up my base and my office and everything in New Bombay itself. But it was in a very organic manner. Nothing that, I started from the day one. I had an office, I had a team. No, none of that was there. I was pretty much by myself. It's been just 5 years that I have set up where I have a team of approximately 5 to 6 members. And then we do projects in India and outside India as well.
Amazing. I mean, was there a specific course for acoustics in the UK?
Yeah, actually, even in India, there is in ISC Bangalore.
Okay.
I think the syllabus was more oriented towards mechanics and industrial acoustics, etc. My zone was purely architectural design, and I used to be playing for a few bands. I used to play the keyboards and the piano in my college days, and I somehow wanted to merge both worlds, music and architecture.
Yeah.
And it was all self exploration since my early graduate years, where I realized, okay, there is a field where maybe we can explore to build best for a musician or for a person who is more sensitive towards you know the oral experience. So that's how I this was just a self exploration, maybe a major risk on the professional direction, because there is no one to back me up or support me in this random jump that I had to take. Thankfully, the people around me and the people whoever I interacted to within India and outside India were all quite positive and encouraging. And yeah, everything with a lot of hard work, definitely, with a lot of sleepless nights, even till date, it doesn't feel like working, going to a 9 to 5 job, getting stressed out. It's none of that. Like
Yeah.
it's more like an enjoyment and exploration. Every project is different from the other. Everything has a different brief, so it ends up being quite a satisfying journey so far.
Amazing. So, what is your day like usually from the time you wake up, maybe until the day ends?
I wake up approximately around 6, and then I just start looking at what all is there in the day to catch up with. And I have a schedule every week. Like on a Sunday itself, I schedule my entire week. And the first 3 days of the week are pretty much, jam packed, where I have to address the ongoing site issues or the site requirements. And there are vendors, there are execution teams, there are other consultants in place. I have to see to it that it is all falling within the timeline or the schedule of the project completion. So each of my team member is assigned with a specific project task or a specific project module. So I set up all these task lists or to do items on a Sunday. And actually, my preparation for the week starts from the Saturday itself. On Saturdays, I sit alone and I do all my simulations, calculations, and I see to it that I don't have too many disturbances from all these site representatives and all those things that usually happen through the day
Yeah.
on a normal weekday.
Yeah.
And then on a Sunday, it's further more silence, but I have to, of course, balance my personal life and the professional life as well. So it's mainly during the night time that I delve into this in detail. And on a Monday, we start off fully by 9 a.m., my team and me, we have all our interactions. We see to it that, okay, the week, the task list for the next 5 days is all lined up. And by entire Monday is specifically lining up everything for the next 5 days. And by midday, which is approximately after 12 p.m., I start interacting with my clients and my other team members, consultants, and align all the problem areas which we have to work upon. And I give them a timeline of approximately 2 to 3 days to respond back. If it is something that can be dealt with in a day or so, I see to it that I respond within a 24-hour period. So, and then by the second half of the day, by 3 to 4 p.m., I again catch up with my team members. We sketch, we discuss, we detail out drawings. And then if it is a site which is in the heart of Mumbai, we see to it that we head out for site visits before 1 p.m. so that during non-peak hours we can drive, catch up, and reach the destination, finish whatever we have planned for the day, and then come back before 5 p.m.
Okay.
So during the non-peak hours, we do all that. That is when it is a day scheduled in Mumbai. If it is a day scheduled for an outstation site, it's a completely different schedule in place. But usually I avoid going on Mondays.
Yeah.
Mondays are usually the same, but Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays are all different. Like sometimes if it is a studio project, we have to spend almost the entire day at that space, and so it's pretty much lined up only for that specific project. And we take up only limited projects at a time so that we can give our maximum time into detailing and trying to keep every space unique in its own way. Even the interiors and the details that we use, we see to it that it is not all monotonous everywhere. We try to bring in some special element for each of our clients. So that is something that we have tried to be consistent with over the last so many years.
Very good. Taking up limited projects to do justice to your clients is, one of the most amazing work ethics one can ever have,
Yeah.
quality over quantity.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So when someone calls you perhaps for the first time for a studio build, or I've seen some of your projects, like you've done perhaps acoustic corrections
Yes.
for an auditorium or a badminton arena.
Yes.
How do you approach this? Could you please describe your workflow?
Yes. So even before a client connects with me, I see to it that it is coming through a known referral for whom we have already worked before,
Okay.
So that eases out a lot of communication because I don't have to sit and explain how we get into picture if there is another project architect or a interior designer or somebody else involved, you know.
Yeah.
So if there is already a project architect or a consultant involved, we see to it that we do complete justice to their aesthetic direction,
Hmm.
and we work behind the scenes on all the technicalities of the space.
Okay.
And the details are such that the vision of their space is, fulfilled. So that's how we work in reverse then.
Okay.
But if we are the project architect and if we are the consultants on board to align everything in place, we see to it that we first go and check the space. We measure the space, all the physical dimensions, and second is all the acoustic parameters are tested. So we have our source and receiver, and as per BSISO standards, we do our tests in the space. We take all the data, and once all the data documentation is done, we study it. We try to understand which areas do we really need to address, so that, budget is also very important aspect of the project, right?
Yeah.
So we have to do justice to that aspect as well. So in most scenarios, it is always the budget that we have to first prioritize and see to it that we can fulfill the performance parameters within a certain budget. So
Yeah.
we first align that. If it is not fitting within that, then we inform the client in the next meeting itself. Okay, so to achieve this performance within the space, these are the materials involved. This is the timeline involved. These are the number of man hours or the the manpower required to achieve this within that specific timeline. And our estimation for this timeline would be so much. Would you be, eager to still do it, or do you want to compromise on certain elements or do it phase wise?
Yeah.
So this is how we break it down for the client completely. So even before executing any project, we simulate the space for them. They can actually hear the space. They can actually understand how much of an improvement they're going to get. If the specific solution that we generate, and if within that specific budget from the client, if we feel that it's only 10 to 15% improvement, then we ourselves tell the client, there's no point spending this X amount just for this much improvement.
Yeah.
If you spend X plus this much, you will probably get a 40 to 50% improvement in that space.
Yeah.
So we align them accordingly. So the client is fully clear even before touching or breaking apart whatever he already has.
Wow.
So there are so many projects where, I have been called, I tell them the entire solution, I give them the entire picture, and I have actually dissuaded them from going ahead.
Yeah.
So I mean, the project is nil for us. But we have so many case studies, like so many case studies, more than 450 plus case studies by now.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, in different volumes, for different volumes. So even before we visit any space, when a client sends a drawing, I already have my case references ready. So I know which project of ours to connect this project with. So we'll have very similar values, and then we detail it out specifically, or which is unique to that specific client or space.
Understood. Exciting and little challenging, because I think this is a very dynamic, industry,
Yes, yes.
because your costs won't be true to picture. It might go up and down depending on so many factors.
Yes, yes, yes. I must say that, I have ended up spending a lot from my own pocket on certain projects. But with that intent, I need to prove something to the client. And maybe the opposite person might not be so technically interested, and they just want to hear some magic out of the space. So certain projects, I must say, I just want them to feel that difference. So I end up putting in a little more extra and try to prove them that, okay, this is what you achieved by spending this much. And then when they really feel it, then they are like, oh, okay, now we understand the subject.
I've been a big fan of your designs ever since I've seen Shadab Rayeen's studio images on social media.
Okay.
How did you get to achieve that?
Oh, that was quite a journey, because it all happened during that entire COVID period.
Yeah.
So we had our challenges of how many times we can go visit the space, and so many extra elements that came into picture because of that period. Aditya, my friend and colleague in all these studio projects, he told me that his very good friend Shadab wants to build a space, and we need to do it really fast. So I was like, okay. And before starting any project, no, I do my entire study of the user, so that I know to what level of detail and what level of space this user would appreciate.
Yeah.
So I started spending some time with Shadab Rayeen and his wife Rupali as well, and we started working out different modules for the space. And the most challenging was it was really tight space on the ninth floor of a residential tower,
Okay.
and it is in the most busiest hub of Mumbai, and we had to take into consideration so many other extras like noise factors, and then there are so many religious places nearby, and then there is the normal ambient noise that is all beyond 87 decibels.
Wow.
So it was quite challenging that way. And when I realized that to achieve an isolation to cut off most of the elements for his level of detail, I have to really, reduce that volume so much more. So the main challenge was how to keep the space comfortable enough, at the same time achieve that isolation.
Yeah.
And the furniture design, we ended up doing a lot of detailing, like the furniture design in that space. The entire left hemisphere of the space is a reflective glass opening, which opens out to the horizon. So
Okay.
in a small space, speaker boundary interference catches up so much that we really had to have that detail, at the same time see and control it,
Yeah.
the air conditioning, noise. And we even have a space where the rack opens up into another secret room kind of a space, so you just push the wall and you enter into a machine room.
Okay.
So first it was supposed to be a stereo space, then it ended up being 5.1, and then 7.1.4.
Atmos.
So yeah, Atmos was just catching up then. It was the first Dolby Atmos music space actually,
Yeah.
So there were so many standards that kept changing during that phase, and we had to we were put to test considering all those reflective planes internally, and then how we have to organically build up and accommodate a powerful 7.1.4 immersive setup,
Yeah. From stereo to Atmos is like a huge challenge.
Yes. And like the spacing of the speakers, everything changes,
Yeah.
But yeah, we hit few milestones. We had our own failures during the process.
Okay.
But the best part was Shadab Rayeen being the the perfectionist that he is. He allowed us to experiment and arrive at the best solution within that limitation. Which I really respect him for. And Aditya Modi, he being the nice person that he is, he allows me to have a free hand, and it really helps in a lot of ways, because we had to first model the space, and then the equipments, it's not finalized, so it keeps changing with so many other factors. There are discussions on that front. So on the AV front, Aditya and Shadab is discussing. On this build front, I am working out with my team and the execution team. So it has to all merge finally, So the team made revisions with each room modification, and then added sources to simulate and understand the parameters and isolation requirements.
Okay.
So yeah, it was, there is so much more to speak about this space. Finally, we ended up doing the entire floor,
Okay.
It's not just a studio. We ended up doing a small space for his team to work, and then a small preview space which opens out to a balcony garden.
Okay.
And we created a furniture unit which houses all the PlayStation, the amps, and everything. And it has these silent fans in that unit also. So it
Okay.
cools the entire equipment within that furniture unit. But when you enter the space, it's all seamless. You don't see any wires, you don't see any huge elements. It's all very seamless. Yeah.
Wow. A studio with hidden cables and wires is an absolute achievement.
Yeah, all that cable management, everything had to be dealt with very precisely. I mean, we did a lot of custom detailing, and we enjoy that. We enjoy customizing our entire space for the user whom we are working for. So that's why we have to take up limited projects at a time and do what we can do best.
Yeah, of course. Then your work also speaks, because your focus is all there in the limited projects, and you can do the best justice possible.
Yes, yes.
Now to my favorite question. How did you and Aditya Modi get to building one of the most amazing studios in the world, the Firdaus studio?
This again, was a very interesting set of events. Okay. I never thought that this would actually happen. I'm being very honest and personal over here.
Okay.
And with Aditya, I have done many such. We've started on projects and we don't know if it will actually happen. Okay. But we do our full justice to these projects. And one day he just calls me up and says, "Hey, Rolins, we have to do this space." And, Rahman sir has asked for space for, a set of musicians like for an orchestra.
Yeah.
And this is going to be in Dubai. So let's catch up on this. He wants to quickly catch up on a meeting. So this was almost at the end of the day, okay? Like it's a Monday in
Okay.
July 2019.
Okay.
So like my usual Monday, I was like fully packed with a lot of stuff. That is the same time I was even working on Netflix when Netflix was setting up in Mumbai.
Okay.
So I have meetings like my day gets over by 6 and then I have to wait until 9 p.m. for 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. meetings with the US team in of the Netflix, So I was working almost 20 to 22 hours a day, to be very frank. I was
Oh.
just surviving on power naps through the day.
Oh man.
So on that same day, and then suddenly Rahman sir comes on call by somewhere around 10 p.m. that night. And he's like, okay, this is the vision. He's sitting there in Dubai.
Okay.
Me and Aditya is sitting in Chennai, and I'm in my Bombay office.
Okay.
And we get on a video call, and he is with the Dubai team or the royal family who's setting up the Expo 2020 layout. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he says, okay, we are assigned to do this studio. Are you guys up for it? And he sketches up on the screen how it should be and the entire layout and everything. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And there is no a fixed site, okay? It's
Yeah.
an idea which we have to conceptualize and show it graphically.
Okay.
So after the meeting got over, he's like, okay, tomorrow by 3 p.m. send me all this information. I was like, it's 10 p.m. on a Monday, and by Tuesday 3 p.m. they were expecting us to be ready with the presentation,
Oh man.
So that's how it. And when people of that stature call you and then tell you, okay, you need to do this, if you deliver, you have, achieved it.
Yeah.
And that's a big jump for you professionally in your career also. Correct. So I was like, man, now I have another meeting that's going to happen in an hour, and then I have to sit in. So I was in the office itself for 2 nights, and I must say through that entire year 2019 I've done this a lot, and I really cherish those memories, and believe me, by next day, though it was not 3 p.m., by 5 p.m. I happened to put something together. I took Aditya on call multiple times before sending it across, and we had a concept ready,
Amazing.
and he presented it to the main client, which is the Dubai government. And then I just forgot about it. Okay. And then sometime in August, again, this call comes in. Okay. Parallelly, this is the same time that we are working on A.R. Rahman sir's Mumbai studio, Panchatan, and the KM Academy setup, which is in Andheri.
Okay.
Okay, so because we are doing that, he's talking to us about this also, which
Okay.
may happen. Okay,
Yeah.
so we are already used to understanding his views, his visions, and then putting it together, because very limited conversations or meetings we have, but we have to deliver it. Okay,
Yeah.
and then by August of 2019, by end of August, we again receive a call saying that okay, we need to take this forward now, a little more detailing. And then there was a second revision to the entire concept, because that was like a one night thing, right?
Yeah.
Now a few more days, and then we put forward another presentation which had a huge scoring floor, rehearsal rooms. And the best part was, his vision was to give the musicians a clear view of garden spaces and landscaping. Generally musicians are stuck within you know a room with no openings,
Natural light.
and yeah, no natural light,
Yeah.
no view, nothing, right? So then he was like, we should allow that to happen, and we should allow the public to be able to see how they make music and how they make content.
Yeah.
So that was the main challenge, and we made everything like that with and we didn't have any site restrictions then.
Okay.
So and then later in October 2019, we get this layout from the Expo 2020 team, and we realize that we have very limited space. We don't have the space that we were envisioning this entire project to be in. And then we were like put to task again to compact it within that limited site area,
Yeah.
and which is more closer to the core of that space. Now that Expo 2020 is called Expo City. It's a huge city and so well designed. So being given the opportunity to design within that space itself was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. And you're designing with all the top people, all of people, like designers from all across the world.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep up to a name that everybody knows. So
Yeah.
then in December we were called to site, and then every Tuesday, imagine, every Tuesday we used to travel to Dubai with content and information and drawings every Tuesday.
Okay.
Like, as coming up and down until that March lockdown thing that happened. Every Tuesday we go going up and down, aligning the entire thing, and then suddenly the lockdown happened,
Yeah.
and everything was online. It was even unsure that if this would really happen after all the efforts we put in. But then in 2021 August, we are called to Dubai, and then we started the build process. So by then we have already detailed it so much, sitting in our spaces in each of those, like Aditya's in Chennai, I'm in Bombay. There are a few others in Dubai who are reviewing the entire process.
Yeah.
Then finally we end up in Dubai, and imagine, like, from May to November we have completely executed the building,
Amazing.
and day and night in 50-degree temperature,
Oh.
all that. Yeah, it was quite a challenge, and with more than 200-300 people within that confined space,
Working.
and in that heat, in that extreme COVID conditions,
Yeah.
it all happened, and I myself was surprised that it happened, but since we really wanted to make it happen, we were so aligned and focused on the entire build, and entire team who was involved over there, like from the contractors side, other consultants, from the Expo City team, there were some consultants. Everybody had a certain goal which is fully clear. And yeah, we had our limitations of time, and we can't make so many changes because everything gets reviewed 6 or 7 times, and that takes time. So we have to see to it that whatever we decided in the morning is cleared and material comes into site by tomorrow morning.
Oh.
So imagine the level of vetting certain information, drawings, materials,
Yeah.
what comes on site, the details that happen on site. So we were pretty much there more than 20 hours,
Yeah.
throughout the clock. And finally, when we see Hans Zimmer's team using that space, Coldplay coming and recording there, PS1 and 2 being recorded. So many people have come in and out. And my main thing is not to get emotionally too attached to your design process,
Wow.
such that you start worshipping your own work. That shouldn't happen.
Hmm.
Then everything starts hurting you.
Yeah.
Even small little comments, this, that, with people not knowing what really happened during that period and what each of the team members had to go through. And then when they make certain comments, you might get. So I also realized like how certain people, how music directors or composers, the process that goes into making their body of work, and when somebody who listens to it within 2 minutes starts commenting, how hurtful it can become or how difficult it gets. So my whole thing has been like, whenever you do something, finish it off, do complete justice to it, and then plug off,
Yeah.
and then stand outside it and then review your own work, critique yourself, be ready for constructive criticism,
Yeah.
and all that. So yes, I must say that Firdaus taught me so much, because an entire year we were staying outside our comfort zones,
Yeah.
and I had my office running in Bombay simultaneously, other projects are happening. So I learned a lot during that time on how to manage 2 different things, 3 different things. And yeah, finally we are here in 2023, and you know what it is.
Amazing, man. Can a home studio efficiently be built in, say, like a room space of 120 square feet or a single room, completely soundproof?
Absolutely. Like my first ever project was a 117 square feet space,
Okay.
which I built back in 2013.
Okay.
And I myself was there throughout, like as the carpenter, as the acoustic consultant, as the architect or the designer, just to understand, is this really possible?
Okay.
And we created Helmholtz resonators, we created certain absorptive elements, diffusers, and just for 117 square feet, I might have spent more than 5 to 6 months.
Oh.
But because it was my first ever challenge, and I had to make it right, so, but we finally did it, and it is still being used and appreciated by the user.
Wow. That's so nice to hear.
So that's where, for independent musicians and directors, I was doing a lot of such spaces which are small and compact, So my journey started from there before getting into, huge volumes, auditoriums, like at the NCPA, and then many other auditoriums outside.
Okay.
Yeah, resto bars and lounges, so many things. Then we even ended up doing the Mahatma Gandhi International Conference Center in Niger, Africa,
Okay.
which is India's first ever project outside India.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a big deal back in 2018-19. Yeah.
Amazing. All your designs that I've managed to see are, fantastic. Any other designs that you would want to talk about? I know you detach from your projects, but yeah.
All my clients, like everything has come through referrals. Like after doing certain project, that client gives, some kind of recommendation to the other in his or her circle of friends. It has all happened like this organically since the year 2013. Okay.
Wow.
So I have never marketed my services. It was purely through, as I said, organic way of building up. So we ended up even doing some work at the recent, the Triple R movie, Ramcharan's place in Jubilee Hills, Hyderabad as well.
Oh, okay.
Where his private lounge area in his residence space was designed and done. So that was a very interesting experience where, he called me to have a personal chat and understand how we would go about it and all that.
Okay.
And while I was speaking about his space, he ended up being more inquisitive about, okay, how does acoustics really impact a space, etc., etc. So I ended up actually spending at least an hour and a half just explaining the process, the detailing, and he was quite intrigued about the whole thing,
Wow.
And then we had a cup of coffee and exchange few smiles. And my wife and her friends were great fans of his movies.
Okay.
Connected with the college days. You have
Yeah.
memories connected with certain movies. So
Uh-huh.
we took some pictures. He was quite a gentle soul to interact with.
Nice.
Similarly, there was another very interesting incident where Rahman sir comes to his site for randomly. He doesn't give you any notice. He'll come and drop in any time.
Okay.
Okay. So once such a thing happened, and Aditya quickly calls me. Rolins, quickly come to the Andheri site. Sir is there. I was like, oh my god, I'm in New Bombay.
Oh man, I was just about to ask you that.
So it takes at least 1 hour just to reach there, if it is
Yeah.
a proper no traffic zone and all that. So
Right.
and I always plan my day one day in advance if I have to go anywhere towards the suburbs or anywhere,
Yeah.
So I just quickly rushed, and I have some information that I have to put together before presenting him, right?
Uh-huh.
So I was 1.5 hours late.
Oh man.
So in my head, I'm like, either he will kick me out, or he'll just not want to see my face, or if the content is good enough, he will entertain me for at least 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I reached there. Okay. This is ongoing studio construction and the KM Academy construction at the Andheri place. Okay. And we had started Firdaus discussions.
Okay.
Okay. So Aditya is waiting there. Aditya is like, oh my god, you're very late. Then we sit together, and he didn't have any negative expression. Okay. He was quite poker face, and Rahman sir sits down. He's like, okay, let's see what you've got. Let's discuss. Then we started discussing, giving him the pictures of Firdaus and his Andheri space. Everything is being discussed, and he was quite a delight, to speak to. He was very engrossed in the whole thing. Not even once did he say, "Oh, you are late," and you wasted my time or something like that. Like, that's where I realized where greatness comes from, and how if you have the right content in place, you have nothing to fear. You know. So these kind of things have happened. Actually, many such instances, not just the names I have stated. There are so many others that I have come across, like eminent personalities, and I've had some really cherished memories of those meetings. Yeah.
Wow. How could a newbie get to work in the field of acoustics? Could you give us your advice for people wanting to get into this line?
See, every team member that joins me is a newbie actually. Okay. And I give them like around 3 to 6 months just to stay around, explore, see the drawings. Because, if you don't have the interest towards it, uh, it will not be a very enjoyable process. Okay.
Right.
And I definitely don't want a person waking up in the morning thinking, oh my God, I have to deal with this, I have to deal with that. I must say it is a very challenging day, each day. Okay.
Yeah.
And how you make it smooth and fun and memorable is your approach towards the specific project or the user or the end result. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, like, just with a certain workstation design, you can end up spending more than a month. Okay.
Yeah.
And it depends how many times you get to interact with the user or the client. And sometimes you have designed something for so many days and maybe a month. And then in the end, when the user actually meets you, is like, okay, no, this is not what I want. I'm adding few more elements to it. I have few more equipments. Now what do?
Yeah.
And when we charge a fee or something, it's not like per hour basis or something like that. And when if you actually do that, you will get kicked out.
Yeah.
You got the point. So sometimes you might not earn from a certain project, but you might earn respect from that project.
Yeah.
So we have to have a balance of so many projects which pays you or which doesn't pay you, and some might be just case studies. See, I must be very honest in saying that the attitudes have changed over time. Okay. When we started as newbies or interns in maybe 2010, and what it is in 2023 is very different.
Yeah.
And I must say that I started off working at maybe very not expecting anything on the monetary front, and then it was more about the knowledge front.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so and the interactions we have with people and all that becomes your knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In today's day, sometimes certain people expect that each interaction that you have with a newbie or a fresher is like so accountable, like हाँ इतना नहीं दिया अभी और चाहिए अरे ऐसा थोड़ी ना होता है. I mean, it is all like organic process, so
Yeah.
in my own experience, like I have been on that side of the table before starting off this small firm, right?
Yeah.
So I see to it that we are a very complementing team for each other, monetarily, professionally, and knowledge-wise.
Yeah.
So I give an easy 3 months for a person to grow and understand the field, and then take a decision: do you really want to be in this zone, or just head out?
Yeah.
Then the next 3 months, I put more effort into that person, into detailing, into how to deal with clients. It is a multiple sphere of things, It's not
Yeah.
just design and detailing and making good looking drawings. It's
Yeah.
also about how the illiterate person on site understands your drawing. Okay.
Understood.
And how your each line that you've put together doesn't cause a mistake at site, and the materials used, you're checking it, and how it is merging with other materials, the workmanship, everything. Like it's an all in all process. You can't just sit in an air conditioned space throughout the day and expect things to happen at site. It never happens that way.
Yeah.
A newbie, I would say, it's not necessary that you need to know music or anything of that sort. You just need to be able to appreciate sound
Yeah.
and be inquisitive about the process and what they deal with. And ideally, we are not just dealing with making studios and auditoriums. We are also doing, interiors for residences, offices, and it's like a complete process. So even if we are doing a acoustics only project, we end up getting into the design aspect, the interiors aspect, so that it is merging with the vision
Yeah.
of the client, So that's how it is. So we are not purely engineers, we are not purely artists. We are probably involving in the entire process, engineering, architecture, and the art, everything together.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rollins.
Thank you so much, Sagat.
I have my resume ready and I'm going to share it with you as soon as I say this recording.
I'll be humbled to, have a senior person like you on that front.
No, not at all senior, but yeah, very interested, and I'm, really very intrigued about how you go about doing, studio builds. It's a very interesting area to work, and especially since I work in this field. And yeah, as understood from our conversation, I clearly understand it's not, just about drawings and so many other factors, Drawings don't make sense until, it actually gets to the site and, it's built to spec and, until it sounds good.
Yes, absolutely. And in our team, I'm a person who's like, I don't need you to have so many graduate degrees or postgraduate degrees. If you have the right tools in place, you know how to deal with CAD, you know how to deal with modeling software. That's about it. If you have the right tools in place, you just need the aptitude. I'm saying
Correct.
aptitude, not attitude. Attitude comes later. Of course, that is also needed.
Yeah.
But that's about it. In today's world, no, you don't need to prove your education and certificates
Yeah.
to be somebody or build your own identity,
Correct.
That's what I feel so, because that time is over.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a great programmer, you don't need to be an engineer. You know the coding and you have a talent or a knack for it. That's about it. You know how to go about yourself,
Yeah.
That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rollins, for doing this.
Thank you, Anand. I'm hoping I didn't deviate too much. I'm hoping I've encompassed most of the information that you were asking for.
No, certainly not. It was a really good conversation and a very meaningful one. And I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You just heard A Day in Your Life, an Offspin original, created and produced by Ananth Krishnan. This show is live and available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon Music, Saavn, Gaana, Wink, and every other place we thought hosted podcasts. Give the Offspin team a like, maybe a subscribe on their Instagram page, and be in touch. We love hearing from you. Keep listening to content from Offspin Media Friends, and keep glistening.
The opinions expressed in this show are personal to the guests and the host and do not necessarily represent the opinions of the producer or the platform. This show does not intend to defame and denigrate any individual or organization in India or outside. The show is created for entertainment purposes only. It does not encourage smoking, drinking, or any kind of substance use. It may contain the use of harsh language that may be considered offensive, rude, or profane by the listeners. It may also contain incidents that mention or describe mental health issues, casteism, suicide, and violence. Listeners are advised to use